The opener for MLS is Back starts this Saturday. Can we get one over our old nemesis? We discuss next. What's going on, Five Stripe fam? I'm AJ and this is Tanner and Mark. Before we get started, become a member of the notification squad on YouTube by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button. Or if you're on Facebook, hit that like and follow button. Welcome to the match preview. The MLS is Back tournament starts for Atlanta United this Saturday, and it's at the Disney World of Sports complex, of course. Match starts at 8 p.m. against the New York Red Bulls, our old nemesis. And they are obviously, yes, a team that generally has our number, except for when we beat them in that Eastern Conference Final first leg. But yeah, you know, against them, we've won 0 in the regular season, 1 in the playoffs. They've had 4 wins and 2 draws against us, and we've scored a grand total of 5 goals in the regular season against them to their 11 goals. So yeah, it's pretty thorough at this point, unfortunately, but you know, I think that that Eastern Conference match does hold some very, very heavy weight, especially with our fans and their fans. I mean, it's you know, there's contention.
If we had to pick one to win,
yeah,
I mean,
it would be that for sure. But yeah, so you know, through our history, yeah, we've lost that inaugural match against them at Bobby Dodd, of course, and then throughout the years, yes, all those, just, you know, what I just mentioned, very, you know, not very lovely scorelines in our favor, but of course that 3-0, yeah, still warms our heart, I feel like, for a lot of Five Stripe fans. But yeah, for you guys, you know, in terms of the Red Bulls and going into this match, like, what type of feeling do you have, you know, playing against the likes of a team that just really plays us tough every single time? What do you think, Tanner?
well, I mean, it's not an ideal team. I wish we weren't playing Red Bulls, to be perfectly honest with you, for a lot of reasons. But, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how the boys adapt to playing without Joseph. You know, they've had time to train together and a lot more time to really come to an understanding of how they're going to play without him, now that they know. But it'll be curious to see what kind of shape that they're in and how they can adapt. But my big thing is I just want everyone to be healthy in this tournament. And aside from that, it's all gravy.
Yeah. Mark?
Definitely some trepidation about playing Red Bulls. I mean, if you look at those wins, those regular season wins, they've had comeback wins. They've beaten us without their best players. They've beaten us a man down. So, you know, I think Red Bulls are definitely the type of team to keep you honest. I am curious to see how both teams respond after a long layoff. I think this would have been a better match as the third group game, but that's just how I feel personally.
Yeah, I don't disagree there. That you know, it of course you know, is a great kind of starter for the you know, for the likes of a big team like Atlanta United that, you know, gets a lot of eyeballs, obviously, and so you want to put a good match out there, you know, as that first fixture. But yeah, I see your point about, you know, maybe the quality of the play could be better as, you know, the play does go on, because I think we saw that with the Premier League, and that some of those early fixtures, it was a little bit drab. It was a little bit like, oh yeah, this looks like a training session, and so yeah, it could very well look like that as well. You know, we shall see. But moving on into some of the things that we do know about you know, this match and about Red Bulls is that yeah, the officials will be for the center ref, Alan Chapman. Assistant referees, Kyle Atkins, Jason White. Fourth official, Victor Rivas. And there will be a VAR in Alex Chilowitz. So, very interesting indeed that, you know, yeah, I mean, for a tournament like this, you still have VAR. I mean, I think it should be necessary, probably, because of,
yeah,
you know, just how probably tight some of these
it's just standard at this point as well, yeah. So may as well have it.
Right.
So we have Chapman as the ref.
We have Chapman. Yeah,
that's not great.
There aren't many referees that many fans do enjoy. So
Sure.
It is one of those things. But yeah, so getting into what Red Bulls were doing earlier on this season, they won 3-2 against FC Cincy. We had that 1-1 draw versus, or sorry, they had a 1-1 draw as well versus Real Salt Lake. And us, we of course had the 2 wins against Nashville in their opener, and of course FC Cincy in our opener at home. And so we've fared slightly better, but of course it's just marginal at this point in terms of just too small of a sample size. But in terms of what we are looking forward to in this match, I mean, it's definitely it's a heavyweight bout for sure, because there's no form to go on. There's no continuity at all of anything. It's the first match of it, so it should be a lot of fun, But getting into some of the quotes from the team, Ezequiel Barco had some things to say about kind of the training sessions and how they were going and what they were doing, and that's Ezequiel Barco, PT Martinez, and Manuel Castro have been training as strikers, and PT Barco, he said that they will float in and out of that false 9 role depending on the match and the opponent. And Atlanta United players were also asked about the tournament and whether or not the tournament will last to the end. Brooks Lennon said that he's confident that the tournament will be played out. There's obviously been a lot of hiccups with the positive COVID-19 cases, and of course FC Dallas having to bow out of the tournament, kind of really shifting the entire schedule for at least one of the groups. And so it will be, I think, interesting to see if it really will continue, if there will and if persisting COVID-19 cases kind of do come about. But Lennon pretty much also talked about when he arrived in the bubble. He said that it's definitely difficult, challenging times, and we're hoping to see it through the end. So they really, I think they've said that they are focused on one thing, which is to win all 3 of those games. So they do count, obviously, for the regular season, as we've gone over in the past. So it's very important that the team does get these points, because, if a regular season does happen, we want to be in the most advantageous position as possible. Now, this is said, if this tournament does continue, we will find out. But so far, it is going to happen, and so we will continue as such. So, with this continuing and with the fixture on Saturday, we need some predicted starting 11s. So let's get through the lines together. Obviously at goalkeeper, it will be Brad Guzan. Now, Tanner, who do you have in your back line?
Well, I mean, I think all of us after we talk have the same team here, so it makes it easy. But I think talking as to why this is our team, I think is really important. And in the back, we all agree the fact that the 3 best defenders we currently have is Franco Escobar, Meza, and Robinson. Hopefully Robinson, he's fully fit and has that all going for him. But we all think that's our best back 3 in terms of just athleticism, defensive ability, and even going forward. So I think that will be what the team is most comfortable with. That's what they've been training with. So I think that's what we'll see. And hopefully those guys can, hope that could be one of the best back lines if you look at it on paper in MLS. So let's see what they can do in this game.
Yeah, I think for me, I have Robinson in the middle, like he was playing last year, of course, when he played so well, and I think fits best in Frank de Boer's system like that. But Mark, you had the same.
He's almost a sweeper because it allows his athleticism to just clean up behind Meza and Escobar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mark, you agreed with that back line, right?
I do, yeah. And so, earlier in the season when Robinson was out, we saw Mesa play in the middle, and he was pretty good at it. But I am curious to see what he does out of the left center back position. He did play a lot of midfield at his previous club, and I think that may be a factor in how he plays for Atlanta United. And then we saw Escobar even earlier in the season getting forward, with the ball, picking out long passes. And so I think the back line is important for how the team plays overall.
Right. And so moving on to midfield, Mark, who do you have playing in there?
So we have, of course, 3 at the back. So we have wing backs, and got Lennon and Mulroney, as it was before the break. In the middle itself, I have Remedi and Jaime, and then I have Josetu sort of as a striker, but I think he may end up being a pretend playmaker type. So essentially like a 3-man midfield with 2 wing backs, of course.
Mm-hmm. And Tanner, you agree, right?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, it really depends on where you want to include Hosetsu in the lineup sheet. You're gonna get your most, athleticism and dynamism out of Remedy and Hyman in terms of what they offer. Your concern with those two is who plays the most defensive role and who makes sure that someone's always staying home, because both of them do like getting forward, and Remedy sometimes has the tendency to kind of lose his positioning and where he's supposed to be. But at the same time, Jeff Larentowicz, do you really want to start him in this particular scenario? Is he someone you want coming off the bench? I think all of us like him coming off the bench to really kind of hope to kill the game off. And then as far as wingbacks go, those are really your only two options. And it gives you a pretty defensive right-hand side, because Lennon, is more naturally a defender than Mulroney is. But also, you're going to get Mulroney's pace on the left, which hopefully will give you a bit of an overlap, which will be very important because Atlantis will have to be able to be unpredictable and creative coming from midfield and from the wing backs if they want to break teams down without Joseph.
Right. I mean, I think some could maybe see if we were playing wing backs, maybe an Escobar play as a wing back, and then maybe use the experience of a Larry in one of the center back roles. He has, to pretty good effect against the Red Bulls, played that role. And also maybe at left wing back, you could have a shout for George Bello. But maybe the lack of kind of game time with the actual 11, as it were during the regular or the early part of the season, maybe that might count against him, and especially against a side that we'll see if they do press, but we'll assume that they do press here, and someone like George Bello who's young and if you have players that press him really, really hard, it could be a little bit shaky on the confidence, right off the bat, especially, as that first match for the MLS is Back tournament. So, but yeah, I think it pretty much is obvious then who our, I guess, quote unquote strike force is in PT and Barco. And yeah, I mean, I think, I was thinking, yes, Hosetsu in that kind of either attacking role or maybe a false nine, even though Ezequiel Barco said that they've been playing and training as strikers. It possibly, Barco could be a red herring with what he's saying as well, because yeah, you need every advantage you can get against a club that you haven't beaten in the regular season. So, if you can throw some wrenches into their thinking, I think you do it. But yeah. In terms of PT and Barco, what do you guys see them doing here?
I think Barco's quotes are intriguing. Like you said, it could be coach speak coming from him, red herring. But what I would like to see anyway is just freedom of movement. I think it makes sense to have a front three where you can't really predict where any of them are going to be. Maybe Hosetsu is a little more centrally based, but you have like one of PT or Barco making those runs in behind. You have another one dropping to collect the ball. I mean, they're both comfortable taking players on and playmaking as well. So I think it has potential to be fun.
Yeah.
I think it'll be interesting. I mean, someone will always be having to make the run, and someone will always be kind of having to have their back to goal and be coming back to receive the ball. So, it's nice in theory to talk about, and I'm a big proponent of, very, fluid attacks. But it's also something that takes time, and you have to be on the same wavelength, because otherwise, if someone's off and the runs aren't being made, you can, become stale and predictable, and it can be very difficult to break teams down. So it's going to be a very challenging situation. But hopefully, with players as gifted as they are, in the time they've had in training, they'll be able to have worked on some of that and hopefully be on the same wavelength as far as making those runs is concerned.
Right. And I think, yeah, speaking of those type of runs, I think you see maybe the likes of a PT Martinez make that run in behind a little bit more so than maybe an Ezequiel Barco. And Ezequiel Barco does like to come further back and collect the ball. And so I think, yeah, you do and maybe could envision that type of play happening where Barco drops back, collects the ball, finds a through ball to PT Martinez, and he blasts it hopefully in the 6-yard box where he has been fairly clinical when he's in the box versus when he's been outside of the box. But so in terms of what we would like to see the team do in this game, what's the thing that would at least result aside you would want to see from the team what they would do to make you happy. Tanner.
I think what I said before, fluid front three, or whatever the attack is. I just want a fluid attack, to be honest. I felt at times under DeBoer it can be stodgy, and this is a difficult situation because you're playing without your best player, your best goal scorer, your out-and-out striker. So, I want to see if Frank DeBoer has the mental strength to figure out what he has to do and how he gets this team to attack. So yeah, I want to see if that can happen, because if it can, that'll be very exciting for Atlanta United, and it provides you even more options once Joseph is back fit again. So for me, seeing the attack be fluid and be successful in creating chances, that's what I want to see.
Mark?
Yeah, I think what the board tries to do anyway is just have a solid setup for his attacking players to where they can, have that freedom and not worry about tracking back. So that's what I would like to see. I'm excited to see the back line as well, fully healthy and playing together. We saw Escobar get forward a little bit earlier in the season. And so I think a little dynamism from the back line, but also just, like Tanner said, that freedom of movement from the front three, I think is going to be the key for success for Atlanta United in this tournament.
Yeah. And for me, the lack of a Miles Robinson early on in the season, I think he plays, a huge part in the cohesion of our defense. And so, he's kind of that safety valve. Any 1v1 situations, he usually is able to snuff out. So, the likes of Red Bulls where, it might be a quick counter and, if you're 1v1 against Miles Robinson, I like my chances. So, his return to the team and the setup, I think, really provides us a lot in being able to play out from the back in, the way that we want to. And, I think for me, it's a little bit of that cohesion in the attack as well as between the lines. Very important in seeing if they can kind of translate all those training sessions into the first match, but it's understandable if there are some hiccups in, not only the first match, coming back from such a long layoff, 4 months essentially, and also against a very, very tough team that always plays us just ridiculously tough. So, so getting into the odds here, it seems like from MLSsoccer.com at least that we have a 52.3% chance of winning, where New York Red Bulls have a 27.8% chance, and the chance of a draw is 26.7%. So it's we have the upper hand, but do we actually? We will find out. But it's obviously it's a mixture, as I think Tanner said previously, of kind of a regular season match and a cup game. Like, what kind of game is this really for us? We've done well in a cup game against them. Have we done well in a regular season game against them? Will remain to be seen. But guys, let's get into the score prediction and what we expect to see result-wise from this match. Tanner.
I'm going to go with just a 2-1 Red Bull win, because I like the idea and I think it's good, and I think we might see progress there, but I think to expect these guys to work right off the bat and be successful in creating chances against a Red Bull team that might not be at their best with where they're used to, but we aren't either. Things always seem to bounce their way, and I'm just going to predict that happens again for here. But again, I'm not too upset about it, even though, yes, this counts for regular season points. We'll see if that ends up actually happening. I just want to see some positive steps and everyone stay healthy, but I think 2-1 Red Bull win, just because that's how things go with them.
So, a tiny bit pessimistic from Tanner, but, it's kind of par for the course of what we've done against New York Red Bulls. Mark?
I think the trepidation here is that this particular Red Bull team is a little bit of an unknown quantity. There's no Luis Robles, there's no BWP. They tend to bring that guys through their academy. So just because we don't know these players doesn't mean they're not good. And the Red Bulls are the type of team, especially how they play, that tend to work together well. So I could see them, coming out, frustrating Atlanta, perhaps even scoring for us, but I think it's going to be 1-1.
Yeah. I think I've the exact same scoreline as you, Mark. I think that, we might come out maybe with a little bit more energy and spunk, but we might score first, but I think, it's that possible set piece that I think is going to be very, very vital in this tournament that could be at least, that draws it level for us. Because, it's one of those things where, you know, in this type of tournament, you know, if you have just kind of disjointed play, if you're really good at set pieces, this could be something that's, you know, could be the undoing of some of the kind of top clubs, so to speak. So, you know, New York Red Bulls could do that to us here, and I think, you know, they're that type of team that, you know, set pieces, those counterattacks, that's what they focus on. So, you know, it's probably going to be like a Daniel Royer or somebody that almost always inevitably scores against us, which is hella annoying, obviously. But so anyway, you know, we have 2-1 from Tanner as a loss. We have 1-1 and 1-1 for Mark and me. So what are your score predictions? Let us know in the comments below. So that pretty much does it for the match preview. For Tanner, for Mark, I'm AJ. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching.